Davis is the author of an excellent and inspirational book called Lean on Me. She was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis 15 years ago. Now, doctors basically told her that her life as she knew it was just over. But she had 3 young children to take care of, and she knew that that grim prognosis was totally unacceptable, so she took control. Now, I want Sal to pay particularly close attention to this because it may just be the wake-up, the wisdom, the different point of view that he needs to approach his situation differently. Take a look.
When I was first diagnosed with MS, I was married to my first husband. I was at a vulnerable time in my life and I really needed his support. Unfortunately, I didn't get it. 1 week after I was diagnosed, I was having dinner with my husband. I realized I truly despised being alone with him. He was so mean, he was so selfish. It was all about how this disease was going to affect him and his life. All of a sudden, it became a very black and white situation for me. If you stay in this marriage, your health is going to deteriorate and you're not going to be a mom for your kids. I was not going to let this person ruin my life. I finally realized in reading all the books about my disease, as any disease, stress will kill you. It takes 2 people to make a marriage work. It became very apparent that he wasn't in this. This was a step I had to take. I am so fortunate today. I am married to the greatest man who is so supportive of me. When I told him I had MS, he wanted to educate himself about the disease. It's wonderful to have a man who shares that with me. When any family member has an illness, everybody in the family has the illness. You live with all the parts of it and have it right with them. My life has really changed. I eat differently, I exercise. I just had twins 2 years ago. I think it's really important for everybody to take time and do something that brings them pleasure. I started designing a line of jewelry called Peace and Love Jewelry by Nancy Davis. I do a charity event every year called the Race to Erase MS that has now raised $32 million, which is amazing. I launched my very necessary medical ID card. In any kind of emergency situation, everybody looks at your wallet, and by having this card saying what your name is, what medical conditions you have, who to call, it's such a wonderful way to be proactive. I was inspired to write the book Lean on Me. It is very much like a 12-step program. I am so overwhelmed with the response. It has helped so many people in different ways that I never could have even dreamed of. When coping with a life-altering disease, it's really important to have a positive attitude. Mommy! All of my doctors think I'm a miracle. My life is better today than it was before I was diagnosed with MS.
You did take control and started asking the right questions.
When I was first diagnosed, the doctor who diagnosed me told me I should go home and go to bed forever, and that I would never walk again. And the most that I could look forward to in my life is being able to operate the remote control on my TV set. I had 3 young sons. I wanted to live life. And I was fortunate enough that I could get second opinions. I asked a lot of questions. Everybody kept saying I had MS, but the prognoses were completely different from every doctor.
How big a deal was the stress for you with your first husband? Because you said it was clear that was making you sicker because he was angry about this, much like you are angry about it now.
When I was diagnosed, and I was so vulnerable, and I really needed someone to lean on, basically, and I found out I didn't have that. I did not have a partner like you have a good partner who seems to really care about you, and he really wants to help you, and I think that's so admirable.
You truly have a good and solid relationship. You don't question that he loves you. You don't question that you want this situation to work, right?
Yeah, of course.
The thing that I started talking to you about in the beginning that I think is so important is I said you're really angry about this, and I truly get that, and you said it's not fair, and you know, when I said at the top of the show that life is not a success-only journey, you didn't sign up for this, and this isn't fair, it's not right, why me, why me, why me?
Well, why us, Doc?
Exactly. There is no answer to that. That is the reality, and there's a progression that you go through with several steps that kind of bring people to a point of resolution and acceptance. In my view, you're stuck on anger. And whether you like it or not, whether you want to admit it or not, you are contributing to this disease pattern. Do you think that she doesn't feel guilty about this? When she sees you upset, when she sees you suffering, when she sees the children, and you don't have the ability to get up and go do, it's easy to feel guilt about that. And if you're then angry about it, that just kind of pours gas on that fire, and that all translates into stress, which changes you biochemically and causes a greater compromise for you. It exacerbates what is already there. So you've got to decide, I'm either going to be part of the solution or I'm going to be part of the problem. And at this point, you're some of both. You know, you talk in Lean on Me that you have to embrace the disease. That it's there. It's not going away.
I'm fine
so
with
you
it.
just have to get around it. But you got to get around it as a couple.
Yeah.
You got to get
See,
around
I'm
it
the lucky one.
as a family.
I don't know how to help him to get to where I am. I understand why I have MS, and I'm fine with it. How do I help him get to that point?
Sal, what is your biggest fear for your wife?
That one day we're going to wake up and she's not going to be able to get up out of bed. That she's not going to be able to take care of the kids at all. You know, and I don't know what's going to happen at that point. You know what I mean? I hope I'll be strong enough to deal with it, but I'm scared to death of that day.
The number one stress that people endure in their lives is when you feel responsible for something over which you have no control. And this is a high stress situation for you as well, because it's like you feel like there's nothing you can do about this. What I want to tell you is that's wrong. You aren't powerless. You can affect the course of this disease as a couple. You can be someone that adds to or subtracts from the situation that's going on, and knowledge is power. Nancy talks in her book about that misinformation, misdiagnosis is the number 6 cause of death in America, with doctors just making mistakes.
Right, 95,000 people die every year from preventable medical mistakes. I have something that goes with the book called My Very Necessary Medical ID Card, which is something I'm going to give you all. But everybody should have this, especially when you have an illness like this. Sometimes you are in a position when you cannot speak for yourself. And hopefully your children will know about this too in case they need to help you. It has what you're allergic to, what your disease is, who to call in case of emergency.
There are some specific things that you can go through. I want you guys to read Lean on Me, no question about that. I also want to arrange some help for you two as a couple, some specific help in dealing with this disease. We also want to take a little pressure off of you, so we got in touch with the people at Mary Maids, and we've arranged for you to have housekeepers for the next year, okay? So I'm going to get you guys some help at many different levels. And you know, having something that brings you personal joy is what Nancy says is another key to happiness. And for her, it's a creative outlet of making jewelry. So Nancy has brought everybody in the audience today a gorgeous Dominique and Sterling silver heart. It's a necklace from her collection, Peace and Love Boutique, that she created especially for QVC. And everybody in the audience is going to get a copy of Nancy's book, Lean on Me, as well. All right, next, parents of teens, listen up. How to talk to your teenager without all the screaming, yelling, cussing, and slamming of doors. Wouldn't that be nice? All right, secrets of talking with your children in ways that will amaze you when we come back.